Good evening to all. Pute, I told you last week that we are into the most important lesson in the subject of accounting. But I told you in O levels, right, there are 20 competencies, which is going to be tested in O levels, and 60% of the paper, 60% of the mark is allocated for accounting. Okay. And Putal, let me tell this to your face directly. If you can't memorize, if you can't understand, right, the content of this lesson, you are facing a problem, right, to obtain a good pass for this subject. Trust me. Sometimes even a simple pass would be a difficult one for you. But last week I told you, right, that I have changed the format of the tutorials also. Puta, listen to me. This is a very easy, right, part of a lesson. Part of a lesson where every transaction has two impacts, namely debit and credit. So I think I gave you, right, sufficient introduction regarding the double entry system. I defined what is a ledger account. Then I gave you the format of a ledger account. And I told you there are 5 types of ledger accounts: assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses. Then I told you what happens when those accounts increase and decreases, right? Then I gave you a detailed version like this. And I gave this as a homework. Matakainam. Some have done it correctly, but others, right, there were some small mistakes that which was made by yourself. Please make the corrections, Puta. Please make the corrections. Right? Pute, first one, sales is an income account. Check your answers, please. Income. Purchases, expenses. Carriage inwards, expenses. Today, right, it is very important for you to recognize the correct category before you record the information in that particular account. Import duties, once again, expense. Expense. Discounts received, income. Commissions received, income. Salaries, expenses. Office rent, expenses. Electricity, expenses. Telephone, expenses. Expense account. Advertising, expense. Bad debts, a new account, expense. Discounts allowed, expense. Interest on bank loan, once again, expense. Donations, expense. Land, asset. Motor vehicle, asset. Okay, so please complete the answers. I think you have corrected the things. I think most of you have done it. There's a question. Yeah, Ashen, bad debt means, Puta, listen to me. Bad debt is a situation like this. Let's say, right, you have sold, okay, sold goods on credit. Okay, credit. Let's say your business has goods, sold goods on credit to me, right? So myself is recognized as a debtor in your business. Debtor. In your business, let's say Mahesh is a debtor. Puta, if I cannot settle the money to you, do you understand? It is a loss. Okay, it is a loss. In fact, in the WRT system, this amount loss is recognized as an expense. Expense, right? And the name of that expense is bad debts. Bad debts. Are we clear? Are we clear, Puta? Right. Duniti, donations කියන්නේ මෙහෙමනේ. මෙතන පොඩ්ඩක් ඕන හරියට හදාගන්න. මෙතන මම අදහස් කරේ පුතා donations received කියන එක. Sorry, donations paid. Donations paid. Sorry. Donations paid. When you have given a donation, it's an expense. But when you receive a donation, it's an income. ඔතන paid කියලා හදාගන්න. Donations paid, right? And what was the other one? Carriage inwards. Puta, carriage inwards. මෙන්න මේක. Puta, listen to me. Carriage inward means, let's say you have done a purchase. Okay, look at this. Huh? Purchase. You have purchased goods. Okay. And goods are still with the supplier. Goods are still with the supplier. Huh? You have decided to bring the goods to your business, incurring an expense. Incurring an expense, right? That is what you mean by carriage inwards. Okay? Carriage inwards, right? So it is an expense for your business. Normally, right, when we get to the later lessons in grade 11, you will understand that we have to add the carriage inwards to purchases. But for the moment, remember, carriage inwards is an expense. Are we clear? Huh? Right. Once again. Right. Hurry. Now let's move to the next information. I'm going to erase these things. Huh? Right. Later, you have to watch the recorded session and complete the relevant information. Hurry there. Right. So we have done up to, right. Hurry. We have done up to land, right? Now, land, motor vehicle, let's start with the proceedings with the motor vehicles. Pute, motor vehicles, asset, office equipment, asset, debtors, listen to me, asset, cash in hand, asset, cash at bank, asset. For the moment, remember, cash at bank is an asset. Capital, equity, drawings, don't forget, drawings is not an expense. It's an equity account. Additions, I think you are there in the meeting. Bank loan, liability. Creditors, liability. Right? Pute, once again, listen to me very, very carefully. Once you see a ledger account, you should be in a position to recognize its category. Right? So that is the idea of this particular activity. So please go through this activity and the answers, because these are the common accounts that we get in O levels most of the time. Once you see the ledger account, you should be in a position to decide, okay, this is an asset, this is a liability, and so on. Okay, children, let me share. I'm erasing this. Let me share the second session, session 2, which comprised only with a set of activities. Harida, balangina puta. Then now I told you every transaction has two entries, two impacts called debit and credit. The next two activities, activity number 2 and 3, helps you to understand those activities and their principles behind it. So please concentrate. Let me take you to the answer screen. Answer screen. Right. Puta, transaction number 1. Right. Transaction number 1. What is the transaction, Puti? The own invested capital 200,000. Okay. The own invested capital. මම මෙතන transaction එක ලියලා නැහැ. කමක් නැහැ නේද පුතා? Do I need to write the transaction here? හරි. අපි මෙහෙම දාගමුකෝ. Own invested rupees 200,000 as capital. Right. Now think, what are the two accounts that we have to use? I have given the answers, Pute. First account is cash. Okay. Second account is capital. Think very carefully. These are the two accounts that you have to use. Cash, capital. At this moment, based on the first activity, we know cash is an asset, capital is equity. Okay. When the owner invests capital, right, cash as capital, assets increases. Cash increases, that means assets increase, while capital is also increase. We know now the principle. Asset increase is what? Debit. Equity increase is credit. Do you see? This is how we recognize the dual aspect. Every single transaction, listen to me very carefully, every single transaction has this combination, debit, credit. Now the amount is 200,000, 200,000. Right. Transaction number 2. Obtained a bank loan valued rupees 80,000. What are the two accounts? Think. The business has obtained a bank loan. Two accounts are cash and bank loan. Bank loan. Right? What are the categories? What is the category of cash? Once again, assets. What about the bank loan? Bank loan is a liability. If you find it difficult to complete with this speed, just concentrate, because we have just a very short period, right? You can write the answers later. Now concentrate. Pute, what happens to the balance of cash when a business obtains a bank loan? Bank loan increases. Cash increases, and also bank loan increase. Now the principles of double entry. Assets increase is debit. Liability increase is credit. Do you see? Even this transaction has a debit and a corresponding credit entry, 80,000 each. So these are the two accounts that we use to record this transaction. Cash, bank loan. Cash is an asset, bank loan is a liability. Assets increases, liability increases. Assets increases debit, liability increases credit. Amount is the same. Do you understand how simple it is? Right. Puta, activity number 3 is going to be a homework. So please concentrate. Number 3, purchased furniture valued 50,000 on cash. Purchased furniture valued rupees 50,000 on cash. Who can tell me the two accounts required? There should be a minimum of 2 accounts to record a transaction. Duniti, what are the 2 accounts that you are using here? Oshani, Binan, mata kiyana balana patiyo. If you have to record this transaction, what are the 2 accounts that we use? Hariyata hari Duniti. Ashen, dan therunada puta. Mama hari kemati. මෙතනින්න දරුවන්ගෙන් කීප දෙනෙක් හරිද මේ දක්ෂ ළමයි A levels වලට කොමර්ස් කරනවා හරිද because listen to me ඔය ටික තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා කියන්නේ පුතා කිසිම අවුලක් නැතුව ඔයාට A levels වලට හොඳ රිසල්ට් එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන් sometimes the university entrance is open to you so be very careful when you make a decision regarding your A levels මොකද පුතා මේවා practical subjects commerce is a practical subject. Right, perfect Pute. Additions? No, not inventory. We are purchasing furniture on cash. The two accounts are furniture and cash. Furniture and cash. Right? What is the category of furniture? Furniture is an asset. What about cash? Cash is also an asset. But what happens to the furniture asset? Furniture asset increases, but cash asset, it decreases. Am I clear with you? Now look at the principle of double entry. Asset increases debit, asset decreases credit. Furniture asset debit by 50,000, cash at asset credit by 50,000. See how beautiful this combination is. Right. Transaction number 4. Transaction number 4. The owner invested motor vehicle valued 150,000 as capital. The owner invested motor vehicle valued rupees 150,000 as capital. As capital. What are the two accounts? Who can tell me? What are the two accounts? Ashen, Oshani, Dinet, Sanuka, Vibhu. What are the two accounts they are using to record this transaction? There are two accounts. Exactly. Dishans, you have to use two accounts, son. Two accounts. Sanuka, no. For the fourth one, no. We are still in the fourth one, Puta. Exactly, net me. Niyamai Pute. We have to use the following accounts. What are they? Motor vehicle. And this next is capital. Capital. Puta. Motor vehicle is an asset. Capital is equity. Motor vehicle asset increases. Capital is also increasing. Now the principles. Assets increase is debit. Equity increase is credit. Value 150,000 debit, 150,000 credit. So what is the double entry to record the fourth transaction? Motor vehicle debit 150, capital credit 150. Transaction number 5. It is cash purchases rupees 30,000. According to the accounting equation, this transaction was recorded like this. It was added to the inventory. We assumed inventory as an asset in the accounting equation, and cash was decreased by 30. That is what we did. That is what we did, right? That is what we did in the accounting equation. But look at this one. Cash purchases 30,000. Pute, under the double entry system, under the double entry system, we don't use inventory account. Cash purchases is always generating an expense to the business. It may be cash purchase of goods or credit purchase of goods. Therefore, two accounts that we are using here is not the inventory, but purchases. Purchases, and it's a cash purchases, no? Cash. I think you can understand that. Purchases are not added. There is no inventory account. There is an inventory account, but we don't update it in the double entry system. In accounting equation, we can edit. Now I told you this is completely different with the accounting equation. right? So purchase is an expense, where cash is an asset, right? When there is a purchase, remember, purchase expense increases. And cash asset, when you purchase something, what happens to your balance of cash? Cash decrease. Cash decrease. Yes, Vibhu. Now listen to me. Now the principles of double entry. Expense increase. Increase in expense is debit. Decrease in asset is credit. Now the value. Purchasers account debit 30,000. Cash account credit 30,000. These are the right two accounts. Purchases, cash purchases, if it is cash purchase of credit purchases, it always use, right, purchases account, which is an expense. Okay. Number six. Cash sales rupees 70,000. As a result of this transaction, right, we have to change the following accounts. We receive cash and it increases sales. These are the two accounts we have to use. Everyone knows that cash is an asset. Category of sales, it is an income. Now, as a result of this transaction, cash asset increase. And what happens to sales income? Yes, even that is increases. Now the principles. Assets increase is debit. And income increase, credit. Okay. The value is 70,000, 70,000. Understood? Okay. Transaction number 7. That is credit purchases rupees 50,000. 50,000. Yes. Sanuka? No. Now, remember, Sanuka Bohomoday Pute, good try, right? Even this is a credit purchases. It doesn't increases inventory because we are into the scientific method of record keeping. In that scientific method, we don't update the inventory account. So what is it? It is purchasers account. Purchasers account. Now look at the next one. Pute, credit purchases doesn't change the cash, but it generates a liability called creditors. Creditors. Credit purchases, right? Generates a liability called creditors. Purchasers, expense, creditors, liability. Purchase, expense, what happens to this one? Increase as a result of credit purchases. And liability, creditors, liabilities also increasing. Expense increases debit. Liability increases credit. Okay, value is 50,000. 50,000. Harida, puta, listen to me, right? I told you this is the foundation, right? So, it is right very sad to see that for the live class, right, that we don't have that much of attention for the live class, since I am providing you with the recording. But don't do this as a practice. Try your best to attend the live class. Okay, because that is the place. If you have a question, You can directly point them back to me. Okay, good. Transaction number 8. Transaction number 8. Put up. Credit sales 100,000. Credit sales rupees 100,000. As a result of a credit sales, try to understand, we are forming a new account. In other words, credit sales generates an asset called debtors. Okay, and also it increases sales. Debtors is an asset. Sales, I think you know that it is an income. As a result of this transaction, assets, debtors increases. Sales income increase. Asset increases debit. Income increases credit. Value 100,000. 100,000. Are we clear? Number 9, transaction number 9. Transaction number 9. Paid 25,000 as salaries. What are the two accounts? Who can tell me? To record this 9 transaction, we have to use 2 accounts minimum. No? What are those 2 accounts? Can someone tell me? What are the 2 accounts we have to use to record transaction number 9? Additions, මට කියන්න බලන්න පුතා. Additions අද උත්තර දුන්නා නේද? මට අමතක වුණා. අද උත්තර දුන්නා. හොඳයි. අනිත් දරුවෝ විභු. Ashen, I need the name of the expense පුතා. I need the name of the expense. You can't say expense. අන්න හරි සනුක. Very good. Very good. Others. Duniti. Netmi. What are the 2 accounts we have to use පුතා? අන්න හරි Ashen. Onita. දැන් අමාරු දෙයක් නෙමෙයි පැටියෝ මම මේ කියන්නේ. හරිද? දැන් මට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. මේකට රෙකෝඩ් කරන්න මම මොනවද කරන්න ඕන accounts දෙක. I have to use 2 accounts. Yes, Dishans, very good. Pute, we have to use, right, the following accounts. Salaries and cash. What is the category of salaries? Expense. Where cash is an asset. Okay. Salaries expense, right? Expense. Now what happens to the salaries expense? Right? It is increases. When you recognize salaries, salary increases, expense increases. Asset, it decreases. Okay. Expense increases debit. Asset decreases credit. Value is 25,000 to record the 9th transaction. Salaries account debit 25. Cash account credit 25. So in this activity, I gave you number of new things, right? Ashen, no. Now listen to me. In the double entry system, right? We don't consider that expenses affects directly on equity. I told you, do not confuse this with accounting equation sum. Harida, in accounting equation, it is true, this transaction was deducted from the equity, but it was something different. When we were keeping the transactions account, the double accounting equation, I told you, please do not confuse this with the accounting equation. And listen to me, this is the scientific way. Accounting equation helps you to recognize, okay, the numbers, what happens as a result of this transaction, what increases, where it affects. But here we are trying to learn a scientific method of record keeping. Okay, so the salaries affects on 2 things: expense, assets. That's it. Ashen Terunad. Ashen, do you understand? Good. හරිද? දැන් මම කියන දේවල් පුතා ඒ විදිහටම කරගන්න. No. පුතේ දුනිති මෙතන plus and minus කියලා එකක් නැහැනේ. Here, right, you have to say increase and I'm going to teach you the ledger accounts. No one should say plus and minus in double entry system. I told you, Harida, plus and minuses are used only in accounting equation, not in the double entry system. I have not used any pluses and minuses, but I highly appreciate your questions. Huh? I highly appreciate your questions. In the double entry system, we don't use plus and minus. Additions. Now addition is asking a very good question. Sir, if we put cash in upper column and salaries down column, is that wrong? No, it is not wrong. But do you see, in all these transactions, how I am recorded it? I have recorded the debit entry first. It is a rule in accounting. Always record the debit entry. Debit, credit, not credit, debit. You have to try to recognize, but later you have to recognize the debit entry first. Because we are learning a science. Debit, credit, debit, credit. Are we clear? So in the beginning, I know it is a little bit hard, but when it get more practices, right, it won't be a problem to you. Last transaction, number 10. Any questions for that, Duniti? Dishans? Ashen? Have you received the answers for all your questions? Right, Ashen. Okay, good, perfect. Let's move to the next one. Transaction number 10. What is it? Received 15,000 as commissions. Received rupees 15,000 commissions. What are the two accounts? We receive cash. You have to use the cash account. Cash, right? Yes. And commissions received. Sanuka, very good, Pute. Very good, right? Commissions. Commissions received. Commissions received. Right? Commissions received. Puta, listen to me. Cash is an asset. Commissions received is an income. When you have received 15,000, cash assets increased by, right, 15,000. While commissions received income is also increased by, right, increased. Asset increase, income increase. Asset increase is debit. Income increase is credit. Okay. Puta, here, cash, right? When you, to record this transaction, you have to debit the cash account by 15,000 and you have to credit the commissions received by 15,000. Duniti, kontrabalan, I haven't used any plus and minuses here. In the double entry system, there are no pluses and minuses. In accounting equation, it is compulsory to record pluses and minuses where necessary. Do not confuse this with accounting equation. Haridapata, great. Let's move to the next one. Let's move to the Pute. Please mark activity number 2 as a homework. Taniyama kohomari try එකක් දෙන්න කරන්න. Question number 2. හොඳට බලන්න පුතා. How to, what are the two accounts? Use a pencil if you are not sure. Always try to recognize the debit entry first. Right? All of these transactions have, I think you know the answers for these. Credit purchases, cash sales, cash purchases, cash sales, credit purchases, credit sales. You know, right? Puta, in this activity, try to recognize the debit entry first. Yeah, of course, Sanuko, you have to use that. Of course, you have to use that. Don't use plus and minuses. Always check whether there is a debit and credit entries. You have to check them. Every transaction has a debit and a credit entry. Okay, good. ඔන්න මම මේ අද බොහොම ආසාවෙන් හදපු ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් ඊළඟ එක. Number three. පුතේ හොඳට අහගන්න. Everyone in the class, please listen to me. When you have to prepare a ledger account, first thing is to draw this format. ලොකුවට ගහන්න ඕනේ නෑ පුතේ. Right? Date column. You have to leave a sufficient space for description. You could write the name of the next account there. Right? Then the amount to write the rupee figures. So I'm going to explain it. Before I give the answers, can you read all these there are 10 transactions. Tagala kevagani transactions 10. I give you 2 minutes. Hurry up. Ashen, no matter at all. But listen to me, I'm going to give you, write a few more activities later. But if you like, you can draw all these ledger accounts on a write rough paper and try it with yourself. කැමති නම් මේ 10ට මේ transactions වලට හදලා බලන්න. 2 ledger accounts. Draw the full format of the ledger accounts and record it in the debit and the credit side. But only thing is, in these transactions, I have not given you any date. So just practice this one. Okay, Buta? Yeah. Read it. Read all the 10 transactions. Hurry up. Shall we start then? හොඳට බලන් ඉන්න මම ලස්සනට කියලා දෙන්න. හරිද? Right. Transaction number 1. Right? On 1st of January 2022, Gimhan invested 300,000 as capital. What are the 2 accounts we need, Puta? First account, cash account. Cash account. Account number 1. Name of the second account is capital account. Cash account, capital account. Now the date. What is the date, Puta? 1st of January. Okay. 1st of January. How to record this transaction, Puta? Now think. The owner, Gimhan, has invested 300,000 as capital. Cash account debit. Cash account debit 300,000. And capital account credit 300,000. The date is 1st of January. Now to description. In the cash account, you can't write cash account again. You have to say this amount has been transferred from capital account. Capital. In the capital account, you have to write cash. This is how you record a double entry. Cash account debit, put the date and write the name of the other account. In the capital account, credit. The date is the same date. Write the name of the other account, cash. If you want the principles of double entry, why the cash account is debited? Cash is an asset, asset increases debit. And why the capital account is credited? Capital is an equity, equity increases a credit. Are we clear? හොඳයි පුතේ පාඩම. මම කියවනේ මම අවශ්‍ය හැම දෙයක්ම ඔයාලට දෙනවා. අපි මේක ආසාවෙන් කරලා ඉවර කරමු. Right. So, Puta, let's move to the second. Question number 2. Question number 2. Okay, additions. Let me explain it again. Right. Puta, the owner has invested. Gimhan is the owner. He has invested 300,000 as capital. Okay, forget about the ledger accounts format. What are the 2 accounts we need? When you want to invest the capital, we have to use cash and the capital account, where cash is an asset, capital is equity. Now try to think what we have to do in the cash account. When the owner invests cash, right, as capital, what happens to the balance of cash? Cash increases. Cash is an asset. Asset increases debit. Capital equity. Equity increases credit. The date is 1st of January. 1st of January. Okay. So the description you have to write the name of the other account. Name of the other account. Are we clear? Good. Question number 2. Question number 2. Okay. Second, on 6th of January 2020, okay, Buddha, welcome. 6th of January 2022, business obtain a bank loan validating. What has to be the names of the 2 accounts? Who can tell me? Then kata karan. What are the 2 accounts you're using to record the second transaction? Yes. Transaction number 2. Pute. Cash account, and the second is bank loan. Bank loan. Cash account and the bank loan account. Very good. Now what happens? Right? The balance of cash increases. So I have to debit the cash account. How much? 80,000. The date is Puta 6th of January. 6th of January. Right? 6th of January. And the bank loan account credit 6th of January. Right? Amount is 80,000. Write the name of the opposite accounts. In the cash account, you have to write bank loan. In the bank loan, you have to write cash. See? Then they know the better. This is how you have to record the මම මේ වගේ තව ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් දානවා ඊළඟ සතියේ. හරිද? right ඊළඟ සතියේ මම තව ඇක්ටිවිටි එකක් දානවා. හැබැයි ඒකෙත් මම formats ටික දෙනවා. හරිද? But listen to me, you have to practice the formats at home. Because in the term test, none of the formats will be given to you. මේක මතකයිනේ. Date, description, LF amount. That's all we have. Right. So forget about the balancing of the ledger accounts. Make a balance කරන්න එපා. ඔහොමම තියාගන්න. Right. Next one, transaction number 3. What is it? On 10th of January, business purchased office equipment valued 150,000 on cash. How to record this one? How to record this transaction? Number 3, 2 accounts. What are the 2 accounts we need here? Aganna, office equipment account and cash account. Office equipment account and cash account. The date is 10th of January. 10th of January. Office equipment debit. Why? As a result of the third transaction, office equipment assets increase. Office equipment asset increase 150,000. 150,000. Right? And cash account, cash asset, what happens? It decreases. On the same date, 10th of January, cash is decreased by 150,000. So the cash account credits. Write the names of the opposite accounts. Here you have to write cash account. Here you have to write office equipment. Office equipment. Are we clear? Cash, office equipment. Right. Next one. Transaction number 4. Transaction number 4. What is it? On 15th January, cash purchases 40,000. 2 accounts. I told you not the inventory, but purchases account. and cash account. Okay, Buddha. Now what happens? As a result of the fourth transaction, right? On the date is Pute, date is 15th January, 15th of January, right? Purchases expense increases. Debit the purchases. How much? 40,000. And asset on 15th of January, cash decreases, right? So it decreases the purchase, the cash balance by 40,000. Right? Write the name of the opposite accounts here. Cash, and here purchases. Are we clear? This is how you record the fourth transaction. Then the next is transaction number 5. Transaction number 5. What is it? On 18th January, the business has done a cash sale 60,000. What are the two accounts? We need cash account and sales. As a result of the fifth transaction, what happens to the balance of cash? The date is 18th of January. Cash account, right, debits. Why? As a result of the cash sale, balance of cash increases 60,000. And on the same day, the business receives on the same day, business receives an income. Sales account is credited. Why? Income increases credit. Write the name of the opposite accounts now. In the cash, you write sales account. In the sales account, you write cash. Cash. I think you understand. Puta, transaction number 6. Transaction number 6. Who can tell me the required ledger accounts to record transaction number 6? And that is credit purchases 60,000. I just told you. What are the two accounts we have to use to record credit purchases rupees 60,000? Anyone in the class? Vibhu? Janidu? Puta, credit purchases, additions, do we use debtors for credit purchases? No. It is not debtors. Annahari. Exactly, Vibhu. Credit purchases generates a liability called creditors. And credit sales generates an asset called debtors. Are we clear? Right. Puta, the two accounts we need to record the 6th transaction are as follows. Right? Purchases. I think you know that the purchase is an expense. And also we need creditors. Creditors. Right? The date is 20th January. Right? We have debit the purchases account 60,000. Creditors 20th of January. To credit the creditors account by 60,000. Why? Expense increase is a debit. Liability increase is a credit. Write the name of the opposite accounts now. Creditors. Creditors. In the creditors account, you have to write what? Purchases. Purchases. Sanuk, I'll explain the meaning of, I think I explained the meaning of LF last week. Pute, normally all this account has a number. Purchase account has a number. Creditors account has a number. So let's say, Number of the purchase account is, let's say, 50. Number of the creditors account is 24. Harida. So in the purchase account, you have to write as the creditors account. What is the ledger folio? 24. In creditors account, you have to write what? 15. It is the number of the opposite account. Right? And this have you complete double entry for the 6th transaction. Increase in expense, increase in no, Sanuka, in the format, remember LF column is not required for you to complete. But in the format, you have to mention it. Okay, you don't want to put any numbers there, but use this particular column because that makes the complete format of a ledger account. LF. You know what you have to record there, but don't record anything because we are learning, right, a new language. Are we clear? Right. Perfect. Let's move to the next one, Puta. Transaction number 7. Transaction number 7. Credit sales 90,000. What are the 2 accounts to record transaction number 7? Credit sales 90,000. 2 accounts are yes. Now we have the debtors account, very good, and sales account. Pute Janidu, not purchasers. It is a credit sale. Purchasers has no relationship with debtors. Purchasers is connected with creditors. Sales is connected with debtors. I repeat, purchasers is connected with creditors, while sales is connected with the debtors. Harida, right. Let's continue reading. As a result of the 7th transaction, on 20th of January, debtors account is debited by 90,000 because asset increase is a debit. And on the same day, 20th of January, sales account is credited by 90. Why? On this date, an income of the business increases. Write the name of the opposite account. Here you have to write sales. Don't write debtors here. In the debtors account, you have to write the name of the other account. And the sales account, debtors. Debtors. We are moving to the next one, transaction number 8. What is it? Paid 15,000 as the rent of the office building. The 2 accounts we need. Rent account. Rent paid account. That gives you a better idea. Rent paid. Yes, Sanuka, very good. And here we need the second account is cash account. Cash account. Okay. First one, right? Rent paid. Second is cash. What happens with it? As a result of the 8th transaction, what happens to the rent account? The date is 23rd of January. Rent expense increases by how much? 15,000. Rent paid, debit 15. Cash, 23rd of January. Cash account is credited by 15,000. Description. In the rent, you have to write cash. In the cash account, you have to write rent paid. This is how you record transaction number 8. Let's move to the next one. Transaction number 9. Transaction number 9. What is the transaction? On 26th January, paid 20,000 of the staff salaries. Once again, we have paid an expense. The two accounts we need here is staff salaries account and cash account. Staff salaries account and cash account. What happens, Puta? What happens as a result of this? Pute, on 26th of January, staff salaries expense increases 20,000. Salaries account debit. Why? Expense increase is a debit. Yeah, salaries paid additions don't write normally. Rent might be received. Rent කියන එකේ පුතා paid receipt කියලා දෙකක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. But most of the time salaries. We just pay the salaries as a business. We don't receive a salary. Okay? So just write salaries account or staff salaries. Okay, good. And in the cash account on 26th of January, cash account credits 20,000. Okay. Now write the name of the other account. Here it is cash account and here it is staff salaries. Staff salaries. Puta, api aluth deyak igena gannat epa neda? Look at the last transaction. On 30th January 2022, the owner withdrew 13,000 for his personal use. Pute, 10th transaction. In fact, the last transaction of the business. Sanuka, harida bohoma hondai habai, it is not the capital account. We are using a new account. Mange account එක පොඩ්ඩක් color එක වෙනස් කරලම දෙන්න. Right. Name of that account is drawings account. Janidu hariyatama hari. Very good, Janidu. Right, perfect. Ashain, that is correct. Drawings. Remember, drawings is an equity account, okay? But as a result of the drawings, equity decreases. Therefore, on 30th January, equity accounts, drawings account is debited 13,000. And the next is cash account. On the same day, 30th of January, cash decreases. We know cash is an asset. Asset decrease is a credit. 13,000. Write the name of the opposite accounts now. Here, cash account and here, drawings. Drawings. Okay, children. Mama කියන්දවල් තේරුණාද? හරි. පුතේ දැන් ඔන්න මම වැදගත් දේවල් ටිකක් කියනවා. Credit purchasers generates a liability called creditors. Credit sales generates an asset called debtors. When the owner has purchased the things for his private use, it is recorded in the drawings account. Drawings is a negative equity. Are we clear? පැහැදිලිද මම මේ කියන දේ? ඔන්න පුතා අපි අද නියම පාඩම් ටිකක් කරා. හරිද? Please go through this particular note again and again until it is become perfect. Are we clear, children? Are we clear? Right. So you want to do, you have to answer question number 2 as a homework. Puta, දැම්මම කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් it won't take, right, even a 10 minutes time to answer this if you have understood it well. Okay. Question number, action number 3. Then after that, send me the answers for corrections. Now I have a class to start at 6:15, right? So tonight I'm going to correct all your answers. Right, Puta? Once again, it's a very easy subject, but you have to follow it in the correct way. Okay, good. Okay, then that's all for today. So I'm going to upload the recorded session right after the other class. So study hard, always right, have a great plan for your future, right? And act according to that. I wish you all the very best, right? If you have any doubts, you can ask me, right? So until we meet again on next week, right? And once again, if you have your new friends, they can purchase all the recorded sessions, previous recordings, they can purchase, right? So it won't be a problem. And right, if you have new friends, please inform them that there is a good class. Until we meet again on next week, stay safe. God bless you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.